Hi guys, so today we are going to be talking about the Old Kingdom of Egypt. We will be learning how society was structured, how religious beliefs affected burial practices, and why pyramids were so important to the ancient Egyptians. The Old Kingdom lasted about 500 years, from 2700 BC to 2200 BC. The Egyptians continued to make progress with their political system, revolving around the pharaoh, who is not only considered a king, but a god. Believing that Egypt belonged to the gods meant that they also believed the pharaoh was connected to that belief, meaning he was also a god. The downside to being considered a god is being blamed for illness or if the crops did not grow, and making sure trade was successful and they didn't go into war. The most famous pharaoh of the Old Kingdom was Khufu. Khufu is best known by the monuments that were built for him by the Egyptian people. By the end of the Old Kingdom, there were about 2 million people living in Egypt. With the population growing, the Egyptians created social classes. At the top of the social class was the pharaoh, who was the ruler of Egypt. In the next section, under the pharaoh, were the priests and the vizier, the chief treasurer, and the general of the armies. The vizier was chosen by the pharaoh. He would overlook the development of the government of Egypt. The next social class was the middle class, filled with less important government officials, scribes, and a few rich craftspeople. The next social class was the lower class, where 80% of the population existed, and they were mostly farmers. When the farmers could not farm during flood season, they would work on the pharaoh's building projects, with the servants and the slaves. Now we're going to talk about religion and Egyptian life, which was way more than just a part of daily life in Egypt. Egyptians focused on religion extending beyond a person's life. They practiced polytheism and worshipped their gods differently from place to place. Many gods mixed human and animals forms. For example, Anubis, the god of the dead, had a human body but a jackal's head. The major god and goddesses included Re, or Amon-Re, Osiris, Isis, Horus, Thoth, and Geb. Much of the Egyptian religion focused on the afterlife, or the life after death. The Egyptian belief in the afterlife came from their idea of Ka, or a person's life force. When a person would die, the Ka would leave the body, and then the Ka remains linked to the body and cannot leave where it's buried. But it needs the same needs as a person when they were living. They need to eat, sleep, and be entertained. Due to the Egyptians focusing on the afterlife, it influenced how they would bury their dead. To make sure the spirit recognized the individual's dead body, they developed a method called embalming that would preserve the bodies and keep them from decaying. The Egyptians would preserve the bodies as mummies, which were specially treated bodies wrapped in cloth. Embalming fluid preserves the body for many, many years. Embalming was a very complicated process that took several weeks to be completed. The embalmers would have to cut open the body and remove all the organs except for the heart. When they would remove the organs, they would be stored in special jars. Embalmers would use the special substance to dry out the body and later put on some special oils. The embalmers would wrap the dried out body with linen cloth and bandages, and then once the wrapping was completed, the mummy would be placed in a coffin. The most spectacular of all the monuments that the Egyptians built were called pyramids, and the pyramids were huge stone tombs. During the Old Kingdom is when the Egyptians first built pyramids, and the largest pyramid was the Great Pyramid of Khufu near the town of Giza. These pyramids are an amazing reminder of Egyptian engineering, the application of scientific knowledge for practical purposes. Burial chambers were deep inside each of the pyramids. After the pharaoh was buried in the chamber, the workers would seal the passage with large blocks. Historians are not sure how Egyptians built the pyramids, but they do know it required a large amount of people to do so. They know this because the government of Egypt kept records and paid the peasants for their work, not in money, but in goods such as grains. Scholars have debated how the Egyptians moved these massive limestone blocks when building pyramids. Some believe that when the Nile would flood, they would float the stones downstream directly to the construction site. Others believe that workers used brick ramps and strong sleds to drag the stones up to the pyramid once they reached the construction site. Let's do a quick overview. During the Old Kingdom, new and political social orders were created, religion was important, and many pyramids were built for pharaohs. Alright, so there you guys have it. Thanks for watching, guys!